Arpit, and now welcome to the third part of Yojana for the month of April 2024. Now, we've covered the four topics in the first two parts. First, our ecosystem and Western Ghats, where we saw different landforms in the country. And in the second part, we talked specifically about the nature of the ecosystems in the Western Ghats, the degree of fragility over there, and the threats and challenges. Lastly, how we can overcome those challenges in this Western Ghats part. In the second part, we covered soil ecosystems, in which we saw the biotic and abiotic factors which impact the soil health or the soil ecosystem. Secondly, we covered sacred groves. These are small forests which are conserved by the communities, primarily due to religious and traditional reasons, and there are other factors also responsible for this conservation. Now, in this particular topic, we are going to talk about blue economy. This is going to be our first topic. So, blue economy in a nutshell is, you know, any economic activity related to the oceans. And second topic which we are going to cover is Ramsar Convention. This is a global convention, and multiple countries have signed this convention. It was adopted in the year 1971. The aim was to conserve the wetlands in the world. More importantly, what are wetlands? We will see how many wetlands are there in India, and there's a list of that. What is the criteria of getting included in the wetlands? All these things we will study in this particular topic. Very much important for prelims as well as mains point of view. Now, when I talk about blue economy, so according to the World Bank, blue economy is defined as sustainable development of ocean resources. So we'll stop here. We'll first understand what does the term sustainable development means. It simply means development in the present time without compromising the ability of the future generations to develop. That is, simple sense, sustainable development. Now, we have to do sustainable development of the oceanic resources, means we have to utilize the oceanic resources in such a way that they are left for the future generations, for economic growth, improved livelihoods and jobs. Now, what are oceanic resources? Some examples of oceanic resources. Fisheries is an example of oceanic resource. Pearl farming, tourism, because coastal tourism and all is quite popular. Then mineral resources are present over there. Like we extract a lot of petroleum and natural gas from these oceans. Like in India, we have Bombay High, which is there in the midst of the Indian Ocean, I would say Arabian Sea. All these are oceanic resources. We have to exploit them. We have to take them, extract them, and we have to do it in a sustainable manner, so that we are not compromising the ability of the future generation. We are also conserving it for the future generations. Unsustainability should not be there. Now, it emphasizes the integration of development of the ocean economy with social inclusion and environmental sustainability. Social inclusion means whatever activities are happening in that region, they should be impacting the people living in that region positively. People means poorest of the poor people should be impacted or should get the positive impact of that activity which is happening in the coastal areas. That is one such facet of blue economy as per the World Bank. And second such facet of the blue economy is sustainability. So, social inclusion, one, environmental sustainability, the other. Combined with innovative business models. So you also rope in innovation and all to improve productivity or to enhance the degree of conservation. All said and done, in a nutshell, blue economy is any economic activity which is based on the oceans. It can be tourism, it can be fishing, it can be pearl farming, it can be oil extraction, like mineral resources, there, mineral fuels, anything, and that has to be done sustainably. And that has to keep into mind social inclusion. Now, importance of the oceans. Why are oceans important? Now, around 3 to 5% of global GDP derived from oceans, and it has great potential for boosting economic growth by providing opportunities for income generation, jobs, etc. Over 80% of international goods, they are transported by the oceans. It is no doubt the cheapest mode of transport, shipping. And That's why it becomes important. Shipping can also be considered as part of blue economy. And globally, whatever global trade happens, imports, export, more than 80% of them happens through the waters. So that is why oceans are important. Now, the United Nations has declared the period 2021 to 2030 as UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. So, this decade is designated as a Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. Zeroing our focus on India's scenario. Where is India standing on this, I would say, blue economy? Now, India has a vast coastline, around 7,500 kilometers is the coastline, and we have a good vast amount of exclusive economic zone as well. Now, the concept of exclusive economic zone, the coastline, I will draw over here. This is the coastline of India. From the coastline, the first 12 nautical miles is called as territorial waters. The next 12 nautical miles are called as contiguous zones. And 200 to 250 nautical miles from the coastline is called as exclusive economic zone. Means in this zone, we can do whatever economic activity we have. That economic activity can be extraction of minerals like polymetallic nodules or oils like petroleum and all, fisheries, anything, any economic activity we can do it. So we have a huge coastline which gives us multiple ports over here to do imports and exports. Countries like Bhutan and Nepal are dependent upon us. And apart from it, we have a huge exclusive economic zone which we can utilize for any economic activity. Sustainable economic activity should be, I would say, assumed. Now, 9 of India's states have access to the coastlines. Exclusive economic zone of more than 2.2 million square kilometers. 12 major ports are there, handling 541.76 million tons. And the highest, cargo was handled by the Mormugao port in Goa. Now, there are 12 major ports. Minor ports are many. India is the second largest fish producing nation after China in the world and has a fleet of 250,000 fishing boats. Now, India's blue economy accounts for roughly 4% of the GDP and is estimated to increase over the period of time because it has immense potential. Entire coastline tourism is there or can be there if it is not there. Exclusive economic zone, so vast, we have ample potential over there. So, India's blue economy presently is contributing to 4% of India's GDP, but it can contribute more. It has that potential. Us, we have to keep in mind that we sustainably exploit it. Activities in blue economy. Blue economy encompasses a diverse range of activities. Renewable energy. We can see the windmills, the tidal energy, electricity can be generated. All these are examples of renewable energy. Fisheries. No doubt about the fact that this is a valuable industry in itself. In fact, there's a separate department under the government of India. So this is very much important and is a source of livelihood for the fishermen living in the coastal areas. And so substantial population lives in the coastal areas of India. Maritime transport. This is again gaining prominence. We are seeing ferries or cruise ships now becoming more and more prominent. Tourism. You talk about Goa, you talk about Kerala, you talk about Tamil Nadu, you talk about Andhra Pradesh, Odisha. In all these states, along the coastline, there is ample tourism. People, like visiting beaches and all, relaxing, chilling over there. Climate change. This is a threat because due to climate change, the sea levels are rising. Sea levels are rising due to melting of glaciers. Now, these rising sea levels create a problem. This can lead to inundation of water inside and that can hamper the beaches and all. Waste management is a problem. A lot of plastic waste gets generated over there. Tourism obviously contributes to it. Shipping contributes to a lot of waste. So we have to take care of these. So in our, activities in blue economy, we have to do this, but we have to also take care of these. If we do not take care of these, then sustainability wala factor will be missing. Now, importance of blue economy for India. When we talk about importance of blue economy, the first thing comes to our mind is oceanic resources and the vast EEZ India is having. The fisheries can be categorized into marine fisheries and inland fisheries. Inland fisheries are generally freshwater fisheries and marine fisheries are saltwater fisheries. Fisheries have contributed rupees 46,663 crores to the economy through exports. Only exports in 2019-20 leave about the domestic consumption. That is more than the exports. In 1950-51, fish production amounted to 0.75 million metric tons, and in 2019-20 it was 14.2 million metric tons. I assume that we have a lot more potential over here. We can increase it to further 20 to 30 million metric tons. Minerals. The continental margins of India, basically, they have a lot of minerals like terrigenous, biogenous, and homogeneous minerals. Minerals like ilmenite, magnetite, monazite, zircon, and rutile. Some of these are also used, or we have plans to use in the nuclear power program of the country. They are obtained. Then hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons means petroleum products and all. So major source of hydrocarbons is the oceans. When the marine animals die, that is fossil fuel, petroleum and all. When the marine animals die, their body decays, gets converted into carbon, and that is extracted as hydrocarbons. They are buried over millions and millions of years, and they form those hydrocarbons. So we extract them as a fossil fuel. Now the current annual oil and natural gas consumption is about 1.3 billion barrels and 65 billion cubic meters respectively, which is not met with internal resources. It is estimated that India is only meeting its energy demands. 15% of it is met by domestic production, and 85% of energy demand is imported by India. So if we try to explore more in the India's, I would say, vicinity, we can explore and start extracting more and more. A source of employment in blue economy. Fishing and aquaculture is a source of employment in blue economy. So a lot of people are over there, and this is one such traditional sector which employs a lot of people. You will see every other person involved in fishing directly or indirectly in the coastal areas. Marine tourism. Again, this is booming. You'll see a lot of cafes, you'll see a lot of hotels, or even street vending is quite common over there, all dependent upon the tourists. So this is important. Shipping and ports. As we said that majority of the export and import happens through the ports. So, ports in themselves are very important for any country per se. Ship building also happens in the coastal areas, because when ship building happens, it is out for testing and all in the coastal areas only. So this happens. Offshore wind and marine biology. Basically, windmills and all are installed over there. So this is a very important, I would say, source of electricity generation nowadays, especially in states like Gujarat and Tamil Nadu. Skill development initiatives, they have been undertaken, especially for fishing and aquaculture. There's one scheme, the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, which aims at increasing the productivity of fisheries, and it has in itself a feature of skill development of the fishermen over there. So all these are part of blue economy, and blue economy in itself is a very, very huge, I would say, phenomenon. We need to have a multi-pronged strategy to take, I would say, or harness our blue economy in a proper manner. Now, the second and the last topic for this month's magazine is the Ramsar wetlands. Now, what is a wetland? We should first understand that. In a nutshell, I'll explain, but in technical terms, it is written there. I'll go to that also. Wetland is basically any land where water is present. Water can be permanently present, temporarily present. Water can be fresh water, brackish water, or salty water. Water can be mixed with soil. We call it, daldal in Hindi, peatland. So any of that region or any of that body is called as a wetland. A lake can be categorized as a wetland. Pond can be categorized as a wetland. All these can be categorized as wetlands. So according to the Ramsar Convention, wetlands can be defined as areas of marsh, peatland or water. Marsh, peatland means, daldal hai, ya fir, salt marshes where water comes and goes. Lot highly brackish or highly salty saline water is there. Whether natural or artificial, permanent or temporary, with water that is static or flowing, fresh, brackish or salty, including areas of marine water. The depth, now this is important, depth of which at low tide does not exceed 6 meters. Depth during low tide should not exceed 6 meters. If it is exceeding 6 meters in low tides, then that will be categorized as a sea or an ocean, not a wetland. So according to the Ramsar Convention, this is the definition of wetland. Now this Ramsar Convention, signed in 1971 in Ramsar, Iran, actually was a global convention aimed at conserving these Ramsar sites. Intergovernmental treaty. Since the word treaty is used, it is legally binding for the conservation and wise use of wetlands. Objective is to halt the worldwide loss of wetlands and to conserve through wise use and management those that remain. Members, 170 countries are there, and once designated, and in this Ramsar convention, various wetlands are designated as this particular wetland is recognized by Ramsar as a wetland site, and when any site is recognized as a Ramsar site, then that site has to be given extra focus for conservation. This is basically what happens. So once designated as a Ramsar site, these sites are added to the convention's list of wetlands of international importance and become known as Ramsar sites. In designating a wetland as a Ramsar site, countries agree to establish and oversee a management framework aimed at conserving the wetland and ensuring its wise use. So this a management framework is specifically designed for that particular site which has been designated as a Ramsar site. Simply means that additional focus is being given on those sites. Criteria to be included in the Ramsar sites. Now, according to the website of Ramsar Convention only, there are 9 criteria to be included in the Ramsar wetland sites. Criteria 1, a wetland should be considered internationally important if it contains a representative, rare or unique example of natural or near natural wetland type found within the appropriate biogeographic region. So it should be rare or having some unique features. Criteria 1. Second criteria, wetland should be considered internationally important if it supports vulnerable, endangered or critically endangered species. So if these kind of species are there, and these can be aquatic species and terrestrial species as well, like birds and all can be there, or any marine animal also can be there. So if that animal is categorized as vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, and that wetland supports such kind of animals, then that wetland will be designated under Ramsar. Criteria 3, a wetland should be considered internationally important if it supports populations of plants or animal species important for maintaining biological diversity. Third criteria. Criteria 4 is if it supports plant and or animal species as well at a critical stage in their life cycles or provides refuge during adverse conditions. Then criteria 5, if it regularly supports 20,000 or more water birds. This is quite objective. 6, if it regularly supports 1% of the individuals in the population of one species or subspecies of water birds. So again an objective criterion. The 7th criteria, if it supports a significant proportion of indigenous fish subspecies, species or families, life history stages, species interactions and or populations that are representative of the wetland benefits. No need to memorize all these by heart, but yes, if it comes to you in front and in the form of MCQs, you should be able to identify, acha, this is the criteria which I read. So you should be approaching these criteria in such a way. Criteria 8, if it is an important source of food for fishes, spawning ground, nursery and or migration path on which fish stocks either within the wetland or elsewhere depend. And last criteria is if it regularly supports 1% of the individuals in a population of one species or subspecies of wetland dependent non-avian animal species. Non-avian animal species. So these are the 9 criterias, and any one of them, if it is being met, then that particular site can be designated as a Ramsar site, and once designated as a Ramsar site, then special focus has to be given on it for its conservation. Now, list of Ramsar sites in India. There are at present 80 Ramsar sites in India. Now, it was impossible for me to list down every one and explain each and every site, but yes, before 2022 there were 54 Ramsar sites in India. In 2022, when we were celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of independence, we aimed at increasing the Ramsar sites to 75, and in which we were successful. So in 2022, we were having 75 Ramsar sites, and after 2022, 5 more sites have been added to this list, hence making 80 Ramsar sites in the country. If you click on this link, you will get the details of all the Ramsar sites, which I would say that once go through this list. This might be exhausting, but yes, if you have gone through this list, then you'll feel comfortable with this particular topic of wetlands. This is, Ramsar Convention's website from where I've taken this, and cartographic representation means through maps and all is also there, through list wise is also there, everything is there, so you'll get all that data over here in this link. And with this, we come to an end of this month's Yojana magazine. I will be seeing you the next month with the next month's Yojana magazine. Till then, you guys very well know what to do. Read the original text if possible for you guys. And keep studying, keep reading, keep writing, and most importantly, keep revising. Namaste. Jai Hind. See you next month with this Yojana magazine.